Now that it's halftime at the game, I don't know if you guys are near a TV, um, because they're about to do the Quantum Mania trailer. Brand
Oh
new.
no, I want to see that.
So it'll be fun to have everybody reacting to it. I'm not gonna play it because I don't want to get in trouble in
Well,
showing the trailer.
I have no way of seeing it.
Same.
Yeah, because the family is using the TV up front, so I'm just like, no.
I don't know how to work our TV downstairs. So
I wish I had my other phone because then I could be able to do it. So, but I left my other phone at home.
All right. I guess I'll have to just pause it and watch it later.
no. And then you can send us your reaction.
Yeah.
Because I think the game is over pretty much. It is 38-7,
What game?
and it's just halftime. The national championship game between TCU and Georgia.
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty much it's over. So I figured, hey, not even gonna worry about watching the game. The only thing I'm here for now with this is that trailer. Either way, I can see. I'll wait. I can skip the trailer and still have the game in the background, or
Mm.
I can just minimize it. Yeah, I'll do that. See, I don't even have to worry about the game anymore. And I'll get the trailer off of YouTube and do the reaction to the trailer because I really want to see that trailer because it's supposed to be
Yeah.
good.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I did see Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Um, it was, I mean, it's a Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's a Disney movie.
I mean, through and through, it is a true Disney movie.
Mhm.
Um, that movie is more so about the experience than anything else. So going to the theater and seeing it is great because it's neat to see the ocean and neat to see the wildlife or the wildlife in the ocean and seeing how that is the animations on that and how they swim and stuff. That's cool. Storyline was the same storyline as the first one. It
Mm.
it just I mean there really wasn't much difference in the storyline besides the fact that you're already starting out as an avatar. Um, but outside of that, yeah, it was neat to see and experience, but don't go for anything else other than that.
Mm.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's Avatar came out and it was ahead of its time. And then they shot it like what? Like they shot the second movie right away or what, like 2013. So we're like seeing what they did back then and that's great. And then it's like, but you've already done it. And now you're doing it again. But like, let's use water this time. I don't know. I'm
Well,
not really interested in seeing it.
so they've already announced that part two. Well, they've made enough money supposedly for the whole Avatar series, which is supposed to be 7 or 8 movies.
hmm
Um, they've
Oh,
already gotten 70% or a large percent of the next movie already done. I mean, it's all CGI, so I can understand you having most of
Yeah.
the movie done. Plus, they had to make $1 billion to cover the film in the first place, and they've made
Mm.
that. Um, but they've already announced that going into the next movie, they're going to have an evil version of the Navi, and they are going to be a fire tribe.
Okay.
So now you've already had the land or I guess the land with the first ones. Then you
Mm.
have water. Now you have fire. What's going to be next? I don't know. You got to have wind in there,
Mm.
maybe electricity. I don't know.
wind and fire. So like the experiments already, you know,
Yeah,
separate. indigenous people, he already owns the right to the word avatar, even though like it's pronounced, I think, Avatar. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he can own the rights to Avatar because isn't it a because there's
Yeah,
actually a TV show that is the Avatar.
it's Avatar. I guess I know there is the Avatar, but I don't know, something I want to know what it is now because it's like he owns the word, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there was somebody who tried to do something similar, but they couldn't because it was a commonly used word or something.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Curious
Yeah,
now.
there's a lot of people use Avatar a lot.
Mm-hmm. Actual avatar, like, you have an avatar for a profile pic or whatever.
So he won some case around the Avatar.
Yeah.
Focus on elements. Oh, I guess he got sued over the film. Somebody saying they had in his copyright case against James Cameron over the blockbuster film. He might just have been in line for a large payout. However, judge yesterday dashed that novelist, screenwriters hopes. Oh, somebody wrote a book
Oh wow,
Oh,
okay.
that's what it was.
and tried to sue Cameron over it.
Oh, what?
Oh, so somebody wrote the book first and then they did the movie.
Yeah.
Right, it's one of those deals, which
Uh,
is always the case. You know, I always feel like it's always the case because I feel like people now in this day and age are extremely lazy when it comes to writing, so they just steals people ideas from books, and then do the adaptation with the movie.
Oh, so it says judge rules that Elijah Schickenbond's screenplay for Bats and Butterflies was not substantially similar to the sci-fi blockbuster.
Oh, okay. Bats and
Bats.
butterflies. What kind of?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Are they blue?
Bats and Butterflies. I don't know. But yeah, that's what it looks like. He just won the case, or Cameron won the case over.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Interesting.
Hmm.
I don't know if you guys saw. Well, I guess since I have the other thing up too, because CES just happened, but there's a lot of neat things coming out. And Jahan, I don't know if you saw all the stuff coming out.
No, I never. I mean, because I was, dealing with the event this past weekend, but I saw some glimpse of stuff, which I thought it was interesting.
There was so one of the really cool things. I wonder if it's there. So this laptop here, this Yoga Book 9, well, the Yoga Book 9i, basically it has 3 screens. The bottom is a touch screen as well, and you can do some digital stuff on the bottom touch screen. You have the 2 middle or the top screen and the middle screen, and it's basically having a fold, a trifold laptop in a sense. But it looks really cool. There was a gentleman who did. So this is basically. Well, I'm sorry. This isn't the one that has the key, that digital keypad. Oh, it is. Yeah.
That is ridiculous. Yeah, that's gonna sell.
Yeah, it's gonna sell a lot.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
The really cool thing about it is that there are
Is the audio playing through?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, we can hear it.
It might be coming through the actual microphone. hold on, let me make sure it's coming through the actual. There's a fun of switching back and forth with. Oh, it is on the sound capture. Okay, cool.
Pixel feed camera for video conferencing. What you can do if you're scrolling through a website such as theverge.com is you put your finger on it and flick it. Throw it down there. And want it back up there. Flick
But yeah, it's remember the Nintendo DS?
Yeah.
Saying remember it when it's still out and people
Yeah,
still
yeah,
buy
of course, of course.
But yeah, that's to me that's what it kind of looks similar to.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's fun. Now, you can also detach this. You can take it off the stand, and you can fold it into just being a regular 13-inch laptop. So this would be good if you're at a cafe or on a plane.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Smaller device. Now you're going to use 8 fingers down here, and that makes a keyboard appear. And there's a little
that's cool, but yeah, I'm not a fan of digital keyboards.
And these though. Like I'm clicking, and it really feels like I'm clicking an actual button. I'm really impressed with the haptic feedback on these. It really feels like a real touchpad. Now the touchpad is not delineated, but the buttons do make it pretty clear where the touchpad is. So I'm not worried about not knowing where I'm going to click or clicking in the wrong place, which is sometimes an issue you can have with non-delineated touchpads, especially if you're clicking with non-dominant hands. Now, if I want to type, I can type up here. There's haptic feedback on this keyboard, which is very cool. It is a little weird to type on a.
But it's neat. You can move the keyboard up and
I
down.
think this is something you get used to. And if you don't like that keyboard, you can pop magnetic keyboard right onto there.
Much better.
And you can just type as normal. Now, if you want to keep the keyboard here, but you also want to do some navigation on the bottom half, you can use 8 fingers to drag it down. And then there's some cool stuff up here that pops up. So we have a weather app here. You can check the weather. And here there are a bunch of things. So there's one window where you can see your CPU and GPU and RAM usage. And that can be particularly useful if you're playing a game or if you're doing some really intensive tasks and you want to.
The tough part is, being it will be a great work laptop. A gaming laptop, it will be hard.
Oh yeah. But it would be pretty cool to get some writing done.
Get rid of that.
Oh, it'd be really sweet.
Back up here.
But yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Hmm.
There's also
the stylus lives in this
one of the cool
very secured. I'm not worried about it falling
see if I can find it
out.
because I was looking at it earlier today.
This
Recently closed. Let me see if I can find it real fast.
that's pretty smooth, very comfortable.
While that's going on.
So here we have smart notes. Right with this, comfortable stroke.
The one?
And the coolest thing, if you want to use it this way, you don't want to use stylus, you want to use touchpad. They have this software here called the YogaBook 9 User Center. And here, in all this different dual screen stuff where you can play with the virtual keyboard, the widget bar, and this is my favorite part, virtual touchpad. You set that up. If I tap with 2 fingers here, I have touchpad. Navigate. Drag these buttons here have haptic feedback, and they do scarily like real buttons. Very cool.
Yeah, see, that's neat.
I can anywhere I want. Put it up there, put it over here, I can put it over here, and if I want to use it this way, I can put that down here. So this is running Windows 11, but it's actually not a special version of Windows 11 that's used for dual screen devices or anything of that sort. It's just regular Windows 11, but Lenovo has built all these shortcuts in to make it easier to use 2 screens together. So that's the YogaBook 9i. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you're excited for this device. Do you think there are even more shortcuts that you would like to see added? How do you
yeah, I would have fun with that laptop.
Yeah, it'd be handy for sure.
This is where I was looking. So this is what I was looking for. This right here would be freaking awesome, except for very scary. And thinking about gaming monitors now, John, this is freaking cool.
Where? What is that?
An uncurved gaming monitor and just wish you could grab it by the sides and make it a curved monitor? No?
Wait, what?
Well, that
Yes.
Corsair just released its wacky bendable gaming monitor, the Xeneon Flex. You can bend it back and forth and have a flat or curved screen depending on your.
Oh, I see.
It literally feels like using a Bowflex. It has little handles that pop out.
So basically, you just bend it.
Nerve-wracking amount of force.
Wow.
It's an OLED screen, so it's pretty lightweight, all things considered. Looks great from multiple viewing.
Damn, what type of monitor is that?
It's a
What is it using fibers?
No, it's OLED. OLED. It's an OLED panel because now with how TV makers are now making them lighter and lighter. You've even got who is it, LG that has one that is bendable as well. They've been working on that technology for a little bit. But yeah, $2,000.
Wow.
$2,000
for a monitor.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, there are monitors that you can spend tons of money on. I mean, like the BenQ monitors, you can easily spend close to $1,000, even more on there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the really nice Lenovo, LG monitors to, just ViewSonic and all the other stuff. You can spend a good chunk of change, but $2,000 on a monitor is a lot. That's a whole lot.
Yeah.
Then there was flying surveillance. You got those the new drone stuff because everybody's doing the security cams. Finding other ways for drones.
At CES 2023, and we are gonna walk around and see some of the new gadgets that Ring have brought to the show.
But yeah, that's it right there.
The flying camera, the always home cam. We've also got the new Ring car cam, which is a dashboard camera, and Ring has brought back an oldie but a goodie. The Ring peephole cam.
I mean, why not just have a peephole?
Always home cam. This is the autonomous drone Ring camera. It's got the guts of a Ring Video Doorbell Pro 2. It is going to fly around your home when you're not there and check out if there's any disturbance. It has specific routes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And Jamie was telling us that rather than creating no-go zones for the drone, you actually will walk the drone around your house and show it where you want it to fly.
So
it's not gonna,
That's crazy.
Kara?
It's a good concept. Actually.
Yeah.
It sounds a little gimmicky, but
How quick would Henry kill that camera?
If he didn't catch it, he would probably run away and bark at it.
I know that Cammy will, because we have those little toy drones that we'll toss in the air and stuff. She chases after and wants to go get them every once in a while. So, yep.
He would literally be like, "Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa!" I like know what to do with it.
Wow, that's crazy.
And that is how it navigates. They're telling us it's still going to be a year or so until we get this in our homes.
That's just creepy to me.
Because they're still struggling. I think it sounds like mirrors and windows cause some of the navigational issues, but they're working on them, and I'm certainly interested to try it out. And I assure you, once I get my hands on it, I'll be able to give you a full review. Tell us about the always home cam.
Yeah, see, I couldn't do that. That's a little creepy. I'd walk into the house and it's flying around, and
Yeah, especially if you like get out of the shower and you just think like, "Oh, it's just like a stretch of a hallway. I can run down there freaking," and you like open the door and run safe.
yeah. But these are the things that are going to be coming out, because with CES being the Consumer Electronics Show, that's all they show is all new. Well, Some stuff, of course, doesn't hit the shelves, but a lot of stuff does.
Yeah.
This is actually really cool. So Xbox has always been at the forefront of, trying to deal with accessibility, and huge thing for gaming. And Microsoft, I have to give them, matter of fact, I'm gonna give Sony a big round of applause for this as well, because accessibility is huge. If
There's so
somebody
many layers to accessibility too.
And so that's what this is right here. This is their Project Leonard. It is still, I think, a little ways off, but it is
Game accessibility
Leonardo.
connection.
It allows everyone to enjoy the story. If there wasn't accessibility in gaming, it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, for people like myself to play.
For some folks, it means being able to play a game comfortably. For others, it dictates whether that game is going to be able to be played and enjoyed at all.
So playing games was a very personal experience for me because it allowed me to kind of play sports and engage in things that I really couldn't do as a kid.
The greatest part about the new PlayStation controller is it's designed from the ground up to be not standard.
The controller that PlayStation has developed offers the flexibility for the person to figure out how they would like to play and how best suits them during that stage of their life.
Really, this new controller is a toolbox.
And you'll be able to layer different buttons. You'll be able to move different buttons around so that you can make sure that you're hitting the right button combinations.
Main thing I really liked was the way you could bridge over two buttons. So when you need to press two buttons at the same time, it was just one.
I'm somebody who needs to lay a controller flat and be able to use more of my hand in order to control any kind of controller.
I was able to finally incorporate my left hand back in the game, which is something that I hadn't done really successfully since childhood.
To have such a powerhouse partner like Sony take on that venture with this project is truly monumental.
We're really excited to see the impact of the controller on helping to make access to gaming available to many more people.
My dream is to be able to affect accessibility at the platform holder level. I can't wait to see what the community is going to do with this once they get their hands on it.
This controller is a big part of what it means to create accessibility, and I'm so thankful to be a part of it because it's life changing, not just for me, but for so many people in the world.
And that's a huge thing that's coming out with from PlayStation that got announced at CES. The big piece about it, for example, how everybody is, how VR is now the big thing in gaming, is one of the big things in gaming, especially with the meta space and everything else. So VR is huge. One of the companies that really was at the forefront of actually getting it out there, I mean, don't get me wrong, you had the Google Box and you had, all the phone VR stuff, and you had HTC with their super expensive one. You had Oculus with their super expensive one. But it was PlayStation because PlayStation had a huge base that was dedicated, and a lot of PlayStation gamers bought the PlayStation VR, and that really started once console gamers started playing it and having that easy accessibility to it. That opened the door to a lot more PC developers jumping behind it and giving that push. And as soon as Oculus got bought and came out with the wireless portion, that was all she wrote in terms of VR getting out there. So with the accessibility stuff, it seems to be going the similar route because Microsoft had one or has a controller, with Sony with one of the biggest bases in terms of console gamers. And if they, it makes it easily accessible for gamers to play. And you'll be able to use this hopefully not only on the console, but also on the computer as well. This is going to take off like crazy. So now you have more competitors in that accessibility range, which beautiful thing.
It's amazing. And Marky, welcome. Hi, you sweet man. How are you?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there. You know, had ups and downs. Life is full of those, but yeah, I'm doing good, hanging in there and seeing what's going on in the world of video games. But it's always good to see major things happening and all in that space.
Yeah, fun times as always, Mark. It's good to see you for the second time today.
Huh? Yeah, no, we've run into each other twice. That's just like a scary thing going on. We've run into each other on the media show where you decided to get into a tit a tat with none other than Shaquille, and then we had now we're here on this particular day. But yeah, you decided to get into a tit a tat.
Yeah, Shaq is a funny dude. He's a funny guy. Funny guy.
He is a funny guy. That is very true in all of those lines. You would have had real fun on the Media Monday show, as would well anybody would. But I invited a very conservative young lady or woman on from Wyoming who is a pro-Trumper. She actually thinks that Trump should run for uh, re-election, and she wants him to win. And she is of the opinion that Donald Trump and Abraham Lincoln are of a similar political ilk, and that they are have a lot of commonalities, according to the book that she wrote that details their commonalities.
The movie she wrote?
The book.
Oh, the book? She wrote a book?
But wrote a book about Abraham. Gretchen Woolard is her name. She wrote a book about Abraham Lincoln and Donald Trump and how they have a lot of similarities in the way that they bucked the establishment and did a couple of other things that she felt were quite similar.
And see, you couldn't invite me on that show.
She said she's going to come. She said she's coming back, and we may just have you go toe to toe with her as well. But yeah, she had to deal with Sasha. She had to deal to some degree with me and Steve and a couple of other folks. But yeah, Sasha went on her, and a couple other people went on her as well. You know, Shaquille even did not totally agree with her because apparently Shaquille is not an Abraham Lincoln fan.
Well, you know, Shaq is just Shaq. Shaq is, but it just tickled me that he got mad at me because I kept shutting him down. But
so you guys really are talking about Shaq. Like it's not a code name, like for real, for real.
So Shaquille, he is Australian,
right?
Yep. Not the Shaquille O'Neal. No, this guy is out of
How
Australia.
do you guys rope and Shaquille O'Neal? Not that you guys aren't big time either, but like Shaquille O'Neal.
Hey, I would love to have Shaq on. Shaq seems like one of the coolest dudes. Shaquille O'Neal seems like one of the coolest dudes. I would love to have a chit chat with him.
I'm on the gamers then. Let's do that, Mark.
We need to get Shaquille O'Neal on the gamers den, and maybe we can bring Charles Barkley on the same one and Dennis Rodman.
I would love to have. Ooh, if they came on, we could have them play a game and having Shaq and Chuck going back and forth playing, say the art game. Oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious.
Oh my god!
And they both have money, so they can buy a Nintendo Switch, play Overcooked. I would really love to see them play Overcooked together in the same room because I know there would be a fist fight because it's just there too.
Well, you know, my only fear of that is that I know that I think both of those individuals, and I think also Michael Jordan, you know, who played at UNC and everything, are known to gamble. So I'm wondering if there might not be some actual side bets going. Should we invite them on the gamers den and what that money might look like? You know, they've got a sizable bank, which I don't have, and they would be making all kinds of crazy wagers.
They can keep the wagers. They can do whatever. I'd much rather them invest into projects where it could help kids, like the one that I'm trying to do. But I mean, I ain't even worried about the wagers. I just want to see the banter. Yeah. I just want to see the banter between those two playing a video game, having to work together on the video game, and, you know, going back and forth. It would be hilarious.
Can we just throw in a Dennis Rodman too?
Yes, that's a Dennis Rodman as well. Exactly.
Dennis is crazy. Dennis is crazy.
That's why we need him on the show. Do you think that we're all sane? I love Dennis Rodman.
That's Kim Jong-un's man. That dude's crazy.
He's Kim Jong's son's man and everything. Is there the possibility that he might become McCarthy's man as well? Since apparently McCarthy has already lost one of the battles since he went ahead and did that lovely deal with the Freedom anything, but apparently he's already put up some rules, regulations that folks are thinking may have been his concession to that group.
He basically gave away everything just to become a speaker in name only.
Exactly.
That's all he did. He didn't care about the position. He just wanted the title and to be able to be in front of everybody. He didn't care about it. He wanted that semblance of power, but he doesn't realize that he gave away every little bit of power that he actually had as speaker. He made a dumb deal. And it's just what the GOP is right now in terms of they're eating their own, trying to attack each other, all for power so they can make money and get campaign dollars. That's it.
You would have had a fun and a field day with Gretchen, because that's what she claimed that us that are in the Democratic lines have been doing, because she swore up and down that we've been selling it to the socialists and we're trying to make this nation a socialist country. I know a couple other things that she said as well.
See, that is one of the dumbest arguments, because if you think about how they use the word socialism and socialist, it's ignorant to what actually the terminology is. And they don't understand that the actual country that we live in is quasi-socialist in the first place, because we have freaking Social Security.
Yeah,
it's literally in the name.
Probably you.
And if you take for instance, what is our military built on? It's on it. I'm not paying, my tax. I'm not paying fully for the military. We're doing it as a country. So it's a socialist program because we're all putting money in to a program to pay for it. We're not paying it individually. It's not a capitalist thing. Our police, our police law enforcement setup is a socialist program. Fire department is a socialist program. Public school is a socialist program. So the idiots who say, well, we're trying to turn into a socialist. No. We're just trying to fix the problems that are there. And idiots like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and all these other ones that always sell these dumb ideas because they're trying to break government. Well, okay, you're breaking it. So you can't complain that it's broken because you admitted that you're trying to break it. I mean, it's dumb. It's just, yeah.
Energy that those women turn towards just demonizing trans people, they can put that energy into demonizing the white male pedophiles and rapists that they know and support and love.
They bent the knee to Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is under they suspended the investigation and they're not going to take him to trial. He's accused of freaking child sex trafficking. Jim Jordan, who they kept suggesting, Jim Jordan was tied up in the Ohio State sexual assault case. So, I mean, they don't care about these things. They suggested freaking Herschel Walker and backed him like crazy. A true idiot who talking about freaking vampires and werewolves and good air and bad air traveling here, dummy. But yeah, and
wait, hold on a second. Just tell me, wait a minute. You didn't see the vampires and the werewolves walking around Durham and around Raleigh and other places? I'm sure that they're out there. I'm sure that you've run across them in the various parts of downtown Durham and even at the Bulls games. I'm sure there was some vampires.
I didn't realize that werewolves could kill vampires. I used to want to be a vampire. Ooh, I want to be a werewolf now. That dummy.
But I'm sure you've run across them all in the streets of Durham and Raleigh and everywhere. They're out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's idiot. But so yes, I mean, it's just it's a tribalist. It's tribalism and cult politics, and until we get out of that tribalism and cult politics, because that I would love to chit chat with that lady that you said is that MAGA supporter.
Well, she's
because she's a blind.
She did say she wants to make a return trip to the network on a couple of shows, so maybe we'll get her on the Gamers Den and she can play games with her Wyoming self and all of that because she is from Wyoming.
It doesn't matter where. I will chit chat with her. I'm a glutton for punishment, and I like to try and figure out how people can be so blind.
Yeah.
That
I would hand her over her ass. That would be delightful.
And I mean, you can just ask simple questions and using her own logic against her. Complaining about, okay, well, he's like Abraham Lincoln. Well, Lincoln wrote the Emancipation Proclamation and also tried to free the slaves, even though the slaves weren't freed. So his push was trying to create peace, but basically his idea was to free the slaves. Trump was propagating white supremacists, was pushing white supremacist propaganda. He continually does so. White supremacists want to enslave other minorities. And also see them as second class citizens. So what you're telling me is that the individual who wants to create peace by having equality is the same as a person who wants to create peace by enslaving others. They're the same? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense at all to me.
He was at the insurrection 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, it was all made up. No,
they got folks even on that side that'll claim the insurrection is not real because I don't know if you noticed it, but Dan Worthington, was oftentimes on the news show, is of the opinion that it was not so much of an insurrection as it was being targeted or made to happen by people in the FBI and Antifa and some of the other organizations that are out there. So I guess he didn't want to take responsibility for those that are on his side, and he wanted to blame other outside organizations. And I'm not saying that outside organizations have not done that, because we know they've done that in the civil rights movement and other movements, but I don't know that I'm ready to put the insurrection of January 6th on that particular arm of the government, even though it does have some issues, even with the IRS and several other things in the way that they've tackled some of their overreach, but that's just my thoughts.
Well, you got the Proud Boys who already.
Oh, okay, so Antifa is an idea. It's anti-fascism. My grandpa was Antifa fighting the Nazis and World War. You think he was responsible for the insurrection? No. It doesn't make sense. And here in DC, there were horror stories of people literally they weren't trying to take over the Capitol. They were trying to take over the city, and they were stopped. So let's get that straight. And if you clearly walk through the Capitol, I can see the Capitol from my bedroom window. If you walk through the Capitol, there is a cop car parked at the steps, just in case some jackal, some dumbass tries to run up the stairs again. It's insane. It's wild. Capitol will never be the same. It doesn't look the same. I don't get it. And I know you were trying to make a point, but I had to jump in there because I'm I see the Capitol. Do not tell me that it did not happen. From your freaking, couch in Minneapolis or wherever you live, you cannot tell me that it didn't happen. It was terrifying. It was traumatizing.
Their belief is what they're told to believe.
Yeah.
That's it. The MAGA supporters and everything. I mean, from watching all the different interviews watching a ton of different interviews, seeing a lot of what they repeat and where that parrot is coming from. Because if you watch, Brazil just had that happen. Mm-hmm. Brazil used the same exact tactics. Brazil was trying the conservative group in Brazil used everything that Trump did from the past. It's fake news. They're trying to take your rights away and all this other. So they're parroting these things because it worked. People fall for fear tactics more so than they fall for the truth, which is sad. It's just our sad reality. For example, in an analogy, you can look at if you go to a restaurant and that restaurant is great, you love that restaurant. You know how many people you're telling? Maybe 2. If you go to a restaurant and that restaurant is the worst thing in the world, you know how many people you're telling? About 9 to 10.
I hadn't thought about that way, but interesting point, because I know sometimes folks love. I don't know if you know this, Jacoby, before I went there, I was a Yelp reviewer, and yeah, you're right. I think the bad reviews are the ones that got the better attention, whether it was for an apartment or for a restaurant or things of that nature. If you gave it a good rating, people definitely the restaurant owners would notice and would compliment you, but the rest of the folks probably not paying as much of attention. But if you gave it a bad review, then everybody and their mother was probably on that level and all in that space. Because I know for I think 3 years I was a Yelp elite, whatever that means, because I never went to the Yelp. Well, I couldn't say never, but I rarely went to the Yelp elite events and all in that space. But I think it was last year, I did not go into the process of going in for that application to become a Yelp elite. And I don't know whether I'm even eligible for this year around. So we'll find out if I'm a 2023.
It's just a matter that people want to look for. We watch car racing just to see the car crash. Mm-hmm. So it's easy for us to believe the bad. It's easy doing improv. And Mark, you know some of this improv stuff. Mm-hmm. Doing improv, one of the easiest emotions to push out is anger.
Oh, yeah.
And like people, going back to your review, like restaurant review, the same people who make the bad reviews are the same people who strike it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So it's just that's why, like I said, I would love to chit chat with the MAGA supporter. We'd have a good old time.
I'll definitely. Well, like I said, they were open to having that re-conversation because we did offer that at the end of this show, and they were just like, "Send me an invitation. I will gladly come and go toe to toe with folks," because they are a history. I think they're a history teacher on the grade school level, and also have done a lot of work in that area of being a supporter of Donald Trump. And I want to say both her and her husband are ranchers there in Wyoming. So they were talking about some of the nature of what Wyoming is like and all in that line. Hey, just a real quick aside, because I know not everybody that watches is a sports fan, but I was really hoping that this championship game would be at least somewhat close. But this is turning into
watching it
like an ugly bloodbath and everything, because it's like some ridiculous score going on right now, and I was at least hoping for it to be competitive. And I even told somebody earlier that I was rooting for TCU to take the win, but that's not happening. They're down 45-7. So
yeah,
third quarter, so they pretty much are toast. Georgia's going to win this national championship, and it's not even going to be pretty.
Yeah, like I said, I quit watching it. It wasn't even a good game.
I'm sorry. Let's go back to MAGA. Okay. Yes. He's a history teacher. He's serious.
What was the question?
Sadly, I mean, the thing is, the MAGA support, being a history teacher,
what critical theory is, and the answer. I would love that.
The crazy part is a lot of these supporters, and in all honesty, this happens in general for everybody. For example, a lot of the some of the anti-vaxxers, are those considered to be liberal.
Yeah.
Because they fall for there is that nebulous area, the piece that we don't know, and we need that answer. So if my child, for example, is autistic and I don't know what caused it, it has to be a vaccine because he was normal when before he got the vaccine, even though he was 2, and it is my first child, and I never knew what a child did, but this can't be normal that he got this. He was on the path to be okay. So it has to be the vaccine. That's what trying to fill that area with something, because then I can be mad at something. It's similar with the Hamlin situation. People wanted to jump on the NFL, complaining that the NFL was going to make the players get back out there and play, and the NFL was going to do this. And I've been in that situation. That happened at a baseball game that I was there. Nobody was going to play the game after what I saw, after what the fans saw. Nobody
Was that the one with the guy? Was that the one where the person got hit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody knew that situation was completely different from before. And that's what happened at the NFL game. When that hit happened and he dropped to the ground and they see people out there rushing to do CPR and everything else, they knew something was completely different. This hadn't happened before. So nobody was going out there to play again. That decision had been made already. Nobody was going out to force the players to do this. And, it was a players union that stood up. No, what ended up happening is that the referees went to both coaches. Both coaches have a handle on what their team is feeling. And both coaches discussed. They also had the higher ups already on the phone talking, because the people at the stadium were already talking to those individuals. And so you have them on the phone, you have all those discussions, you have all the technology. We weren't privy to all of that going on behind the scene. All we saw were all the players praying around and saw the ambulance come on the field. So we saw that. But people were so upset that they didn't know about the back end and how that was happening. All they kept saying was that the NFL is so bad they were going to force these players to play again, and this happened. And that's not what happened. Somebody put that out there, and we're going to all believe it now.
Just out of curiosity, because I do remember that. I think it's happened now twice, because I think that I met one of the guys. He might have been on Clubhouse. But how often does that happen? I know that those balls are being spun around at high speeds and high velocity, but it does seem like lately that has happened a little bit more often than not. Because I want to say that there have been at least 2 incidences with the Bulls that I'm aware of in the last 2 years or 3 years.
No, think about it. There are roughly about 5 teams per every major league team. Right. So then if you do the multiplication there, how many major league teams are there?
I'm not sure. There's a bunch. I want to say 20 something, but I don't know the exact amount.
Multiply that times 5, right?
Wow.
Then you have to take into account the other leagues that aren't affiliated with the major leagues at all. So you have your different leagues that are out there, from the CPL league to the American League, they're just tons and tons of leagues. So you have baseball being played. So you could have roughly in a year, roughly on a day, for example, in 9 innings, if you take 3 strikes and you're out, and say, and it takes 3 outs to get a person out. So you're looking at 9 outs, right? And you have you have a half inning going each time. It goes up to 9. So now you take 9 times 18, because you have a half up and top and bottom. So now you're multiplying how many hits right there, happened during a game. So you got, if that's just a straight shutout, so you got 9 times 18. How much is that?
You asked me to do math. Y'all know how to do
All right,
math.
I'm pulling up a calculator.
Yeah, 9 times 10 is 90. 9 times 8 is 72. So 90 plus 90 is 22 is 162, right?
So we got 162, and that's on a clean game. We'll add in an extra couple of. We'll just keep it at 162. Just saying, all outs, and they call it at 9 innings, 0-0 game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's at the bare minimum, right? Multiply that times 28. So you got 28 teams, right?
Yeah.
So now you're looking at 4,536 pitches. That's if everybody goes 9 innings at 0. All right.
Yeah. And we know there are games that go extra innings.
You got to multiply it by 5, because remember, say it's on one day where every team in the minors is playing. So you got double A, triple A. Well, you got single A low, single A high, double A, triple A, and then even if you have a lower league right beneath the single A. So multiply that times 5.
Yeah, you're looking at about at least 20,000, or if not more, 21, 22,000, something like that.
Well, hold on, we're not done yet.
Yeah,
not done yet. Let me see where we're at. So we got 4,536 times 5. That's 22,000.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, 28.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the numbers go way up. So in a year, sure, there may be one, two, maybe even 20 that get hit. And we're not even talking about the overseas leagues too. So you could look at easily 50,000 pitches in a day, or even in a week. We'll say 50,000 in a week. And then you look at 52 games or 52 weeks in a year. So you're looking at a ton of pitches. It happens the way that it happens people get hit. So you get used to people getting hit by the ball. But when it happens and someone is severely or critically injured, that's a rarity. And when that happens and you see it, then yes, the world stops.
Oh yeah.
And you can tell that there's a difference. So like with Hamlin, people knew that there's a difference, but you just played 16 games. You're on game 17. Each game roughly, what's that, 20 minutes per quarter?
Something like that.
20 minutes per quarter. You can have one team take 70 snaps do 70 snaps in a game. Another team do 90 snaps in a game. That's a full game. Mm-hmm. So now you're looking at all the hits that take place, because you've also got the tackles and you've also got the blocks. So mathematically speaking, you're seeing and becoming desensitized. You understand the risk, but that risk, it's so minute, you don't think about it.
Yeah, we don't think about it as citizens ourselves, but I guess one of the things that I don't have any kids of my own, but definitely got my 2 nephews, and definitely I have friends with kids, including you, Jacoby. So I guess the thing that I'm asking is, do we sometimes not be paying enough attention to safety concerns? Because that's one of the things I'm oftentimes hearing is that, particularly in states like, say, Texas and Florida, where football is king, and we got folks out there that are practicing at crazy hours and crazy temperatures and things of that nature. And maybe there's not enough precautions being done, because that's almost like a religion in those 2 states, meaning the sport of football and all of that. And then we hear definitely horror stories after the fact, where many athletes will tell you, because I actually interviewed one on Shirley Lou's show that is a retired NFL player, and he even talks about some of the things that he did not. He was glad that he got his 2 Super Bowl rings, because he won 2, if I'm remembering correctly, but he was glad to have those. But he also said that there were some things that he wished he knew about physical health and about the impact that it could have on him after the fact. Now, he's glad he got the money, glad he got the Super Bowl rings and all of that, but he was also concerned about the fact that maybe he didn't know as much going in as he should have.
So, it's tough to say that. There are safety concerns, and there are things that they've been doing to improve those safety concerns. And yes, the concussions, because we don't have enough data and technology to learn about concussions the way that we should and understand what happens to the body after that. That's a huge piece. Your physical ailments that you end up with, it's tough to say that, okay, well, when you play, you're going to end up with a hip. You're going to have hip problems for the rest of your life because your body could be built different. That's what they're trying to figure out what happened with Hamlin, because they don't know if there was a heart arrhythmia that he could have had prior to actually playing and taking the hit. So there's just so many it's hard to say that, hey, this is the full textbook on these are all the ailments that you can potentially have afterwards. We're doing what we can safety wise, but again, what sells the game for football, the big hits? What sells, and I mean, the big plays work, but the big hits. What sells why do in basketball, for example, the big dunks and backing people down, even the dunking, the motion of the dunking itself, you're coming down and putting pressure on your body. So you're going to end up with bad knees, bad ankles, bad hips, bad back, all this stuff. But you go in not thinking about it because you understand that there's risk, but the financial gain and what you played for, about what you love to do, you can't just take that away. It's hard to do that. Football is like, even the gentleman that you're talking about, he wishes he knew different. But my guess is he still would have played.
Oh yeah, he said he would have played.
So, I mean, you can know all you want to, but you're still going to play because that's who you are. And it's hard for those not within sports to understand, but this is all they know. This is all they grew up to be. This is what they wanted to be for the rest of their lives. This is them. And telling them that, okay, well, you're going to die if you play this. You're just going to die. That's not helping them, and that's not educating them, because there is always a risk of death. Dale Earnhardt died from a car crash.
Right.
His son still raced.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he knew the risk. Wasn't it Mario Andretti was in a nasty accident? Richard Petty. I mean, all these individuals were in nasty accidents, but they still got back in the car and raced the next race.
Yeah, well, I mean, car race is a whole nother story, because we all know that car racing partially started out of the whole notion of being a liquor runner and things out of that nature. So that whole narrative that was part of the narrative with the Dukes of Hazzard and others, television and movies, is not a false narrative.
But it's still the same thing, though. There's a risk of death.
Right.
And it's a high risk of death in a car crash.
Mm-hmm.
But they put in all these safety regulations similar to what the NFL does. But the problem with the NFL is that there are other things. In ice hockey, you have a blade on your foot.
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally trip and cut somebody open, which has happened.
Yep.
So you just can't tell hockey players, here, focus on the death. Focus on the death. No, they're going out there and playing. I read a story actually yesterday. I forgot who it was. He was playing his game with a ruptured testicle.
Ooh, that's not a good way to go. But part of it?
You just play.
Testicles? You guys, guys are out of commission if someone accidentally, hey, hit their stomach or something, like a playful tap, and smash your penis.
Yeah.
Forever. You might as well have just had it chopped off. Like, that's wild. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. Let me see. Who was it? 3 days ago. Blake Wheeler played through a ruptured testicle.
How does one ruptured testicle?
So it's just one of those things. You know the risk. You know what happens. If things go south, there's a potential of that. But again, you just play. This is who you are. This is what you wanted to do for your whole life. You can't tell me that, hey, I can't do this. Yeah.
But Jacoby, isn't part of the problem, whether it's hockey or whether it's basketball or whether it's a number of other things, is that we still have very much of a Roman Colosseum, American gladiator or gladiator type mentality that exists in the United States and just in the world in general, where a lot of folks have that gladiator warrior mentality, and they want to find some way to tackle whatever that monster or demon that they are facing is and everything. Because there's not a lot of lions running around, so you can't exactly jump into a Coliseum with a bunch of lions. I'm sure we could find some lions for them if they wanted it, but it's not like something that's common. But definitely that American gladiator mentality, and I would just argue the gladiator mentality is prevalent throughout the world, where everybody wants to show how macho and super tough they are, whether they are or not.
Well, I don't think it's a gladiator mentality per se. It's more so a competitive mentality, and everybody has it. We start off with the logic of survival of the fittest.
Right.
In our DNA, we have what is it? If you get scared or if something happens, your instincts kick in and you just do whatever. Fight or flight mentality. So it happens. I mean, it's just part of who we are. I mean, I may not be a basketball player or a hockey player or a football player, but I'm competitive in other things. And it's just, we're all competitive in some shape, form, or fashion. No matter, we find a passion for something and want to be the best at it. Well, being the best means you're trying to compete to do better at what you want. Like, Kara, you and being a life coach. If you want to improve, I mean, that's your competition, and that competition could be yourself.
Yeah. I don't compete with anyone else because there's no one like me, and I'm not trying to And I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But I wouldn't call that competitivity, especially in life coaching. So I'm going to debunk that right there because
it's fine. Whatever word you can come up with better.
It's more like an existential thing with life coaching because you really, if you're good and you're not trying to Tony Robbins the hell out of your profession, and make it all mainstream and stuff. But if you really are deep in your stuff, it really is a life journey and a movement, and you're a change maker. It's not really competition, it's passion. I mean, there's passion. We can tie passion into life coaching, sports, any profession you have. Definitely not competition, but definitely there's this drive for this existential drive for passion to really see how far you can go. So I do see it in that way. If you're going to stretch into my little world.
Kara, that's interesting you said that because I know one of the things that I oftentimes hear about and I sometimes wonder about is there is no doubt in my mind that there are certain people that are very unique in their skill sets, very good in their skill sets. And while I have you have done some life coaching here on the show and in general, but not had a official life coaching session or anything of that nature. But I definitely find that the advice that you give is very solid and very good. So I think that you are a wonderful life coach and would actually, give that kind of testimony in what I have seen and observed. But there's a lot of other folks that are using those different titles of coaching and different types of coaching, whether it's business coaching, life coaching. And I sometimes wonder if there are too many folks that are using that title a little bit too freely. Like I think that you are a great life coach, but I sometimes wonder if folks are not using that term too freely and just I know that we all need a coach, and they say even the best athletes need a great coach, and the greatest coaches need greatest coaches. But are we maybe having too much of this field being oversaturated? But I don't know what your philosophy around that.
Thanks for turning my mic back up. I'm super. I'm just kind of my mic is getting.
It sounds like a robot.
Yes. You're followed by a robot.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second, and then I'll tell you.
Oh, it's quiet now.
No, it's quiet now.
Oh, I think she pushed mute. I guess while she's going through there, Mark, check it out. I found you a gift.
I'm done. I'm back, by the way. Hold on.
Okay, can you
There
hear
we
me?
go.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
No more robot.
Really? Hold on.
Bless you.
I'm waiting for, so my earbuds aren't conducive to really talking, but they're great for music. So I'm Amazoning earbuds to myself, but they won't get here till tomorrow.
Okay.
Anyways, thanks for being patient. Yeah, and we can tie that into, you know, anything else, right? And I guess that's why I don't call myself a life coach too much anymore. I mean, I am, I do, I can, I'm certified. But it's more like, you know, you can tell when people make it like their life and their passion, versus when they're just trying to just do it like they're big shots. You can see that in sports, you know, like you can tell when people are really serious and that's their life. And I mean, it takes serious dedication to go into the NFL for sure. Like you don't go there just for having a nice personality and a nice smile. Like you really have to work for it. And you know, but yeah, you like it really is important to like really see what's in front of you and really see what people are about and to really see things at face value. And you know, again, you can tie that into sports or whatever too. But yeah, I appreciate you though, Mark, because like what I've known you guys for what 2 years now?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean you've been through a journey with me, evolving, and like I'm kind of in this renaissance where I really have figured it out, and how like really the flow, because it's not about me, it's about the movement. You know, it's about making change. It's change making for everyone. And yeah, so I don't know where I'm going with that, but I wanted to, I guess, just kind of answer your question, because you can tell pretty quickly, like, you know, who's doing that for clout or money or something versus like, you know, existential. And that's with anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I actually had this conversation yesterday on Clubhouse because there have been folks around, and I know we've even joked about it here on the Gamers Den, have used the term influencer, which is not a term that I like to use for myself and everything. And I was actually thinking to myself, which I've always thought of myself as being more of a change agent versus an influencer, because to me, an influencer has a different connotation that I don't necessarily want to be associated with, whereas a change agent is somebody that's trying to make positive change. And sometimes that positive change takes a minute to transform and have those kind of transformations, but it can be accomplished. So I know change agent has been a term that's been around for, it seems like, decades, because I want to say that we're using a change agent even in the 70s
Yeah.
when I was a child.
Well, and welcome back, Chitovi. Yeah, well, and even influencer is changing too. Like the term influencer, because it's like, especially in my world, the LGBTQIA plus world, there are people, I know someone who has decided to become an LGBTQIA plus influencer, for more awareness, so that when you get information about the community, it's coming from the community.
Right.
You know, like you're not getting it from Marjorie Green. Like, You know, you're not getting it from like some QAnon. You know, you're getting it from like people who are living that experience, you know. And so even the term influencer is changing, and which I feel is incredibly beautiful. And what I'm witnessing even in the LinkedIn space is people are really fucking fed up with fake shit. And it's become more of like influencing and change making, and really normalizing the human process. You know, like I've decided this year that like you will know about Deepened Roots, but you'll also know about me as the person, and how like how all of us have so many layers, and how like, you know, and how important it is that even how I am now, like I look back and I've evolved so much. And the last 3 months alone, so you take into consideration 6 months ago, you take into consideration 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 7 years ago, unrecognizable. And you know, and really normalizing the process of like, even though I'm like far and the journey of like of where I've come from in terms of like active healing, like I still have thoughts that make me human just like everyone else, that I still do dumb shit, but I'm incredibly aware of it. Or I'll still think dumb shit and know better and do better, but I still think it. It's still there, you know. And like, but the process is always like, even though it's not linear, it's always evolving. And like that's what I'm noticing more influencers doing as well, which is like incredible. Like that's where we need to be at in 2023, on all spectrums. And you know, it's like it's just beautiful. So I love that about what I'm seeing, and influencing in general. Because I mean, honestly, anyone who puts out any social media, like people can, like I have a lower following, but I'm still like a nano influencer, I guess, on LinkedIn. But like you could, you know, consider me an influencer, but I'm not, right? I'm not like the people with like 50,000 followers or anything, you know. But like any of us who put out content, like we're influencers. It's just what you do with it. And you can definitely tell, like there was one guy a few days ago who like he was trying to make a point about pregnant women and the workplace, and it was all about him and how gracious of a boss he was to like give her a job 3 days before her due date. And he was like roasted, toasted on a Spitfire. I even kind of chimed in too, and he just blocked everyone who was like, hey, maybe you should like, I even was like, you know, well, your approach centered yourself. And he ended up blocking everyone who like was against that. So like those are the you know, the bad connotation of the influencers, like the Tony Robbins, the ones who are like all about the smoke and mirrors and fluff, and let's talk about positive things, you know. So yeah, I definitely don't want to be that, but I think it's changing because people are really seeing that, and they're not about it anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, was those influencers that are about the kind of the capitalist gain of the influence and angle and everything. And Tony Robbins is definitely a prime example of that. There's some other ones that will try to entice you to, spend out money that may not be there in order to get their access points, whatever their access points are. Because I know that there's some people on Clubhouse and even LinkedIn that have tried that strategy as well. And that's where I was going, because I might have, and some of them I may have gotten just by making a simple contact and making a effort or an overture toward them. But it's like any other thing within that friendship circle. There are a select few that I would consider true friends, you being one of them, Kara, and definitely Jatovi being another, and other folks that have been on the Gamers Den and some of the other people around Pod TV that I would consider true friends. But there are others that they just are there on your list of followers and everything, but how much they're actually paying attention to what you're doing or how much they're paying attention to what others are doing is suspect in my mind. So that's what I'm saying when I say that I don't like that title. I'd rather build true, authentic relationships. And if folks want to hear the message and hear the tales of folks' stories, whether that's on the shows that I do or on Gamers Den or just our general conversations, that can be a way of influencing or making change or having people give their viewpoints, whether I agree or disagree with them. Whereas I think sometimes folks just follow or are followers for the sake of it, the sake of gathering numbers. And that's not necessarily what I'm doing. While I might have a significant amount of people that are in those lanes, I really were trying to build more of the authentic relationships.
Yeah, most definitely. I recently wrote a post on LinkedIn where I was like, hey, just letting you know, I've done this, like this has been happening for a few months now, but I am no longer accepting connection requests unless we have previously interacted or unless we have interacted. And there's like a vibe and there's like, a mutual like, hey, I really like what you're about, but like I will not be accepting requests. And there were so many people who were so about it. And there were people who were like, well, there was one, but now it's like funny banter, and this person ended up blocking me. And I'm like, oh, but I actually gained so many more followers from that, because it was like, please follow me and I'll follow you. Like, I want to know what you're about. I want to know like what you think, how you feel, how you move through the world. If I see that you're moving through the world that resonates with me, I want to know I want to know more. And if I resonate with you, please, like, I want you to know more about me too. And this guy, like, and I found out ended up soliciting me months ago, and hounded me too. And I thought I blocked him, but I didn't. But he was like, I guess, trying to get people to like be on this like LGBTQ exile cruise ship thing. I don't know. It was so weird, like off the coast of Cyprus. But like, but I found that out, like, but he didn't say anything on the comments, but I looked at his profile because I'm like, you look familiar. I'm like, oh, it's you. But he was like, well, you can't choose your students. I'm like, but I choose my clients. Like, I choose who I work with. And the list of clients, like the list of people I choose to work with, now drastically are completely different from the clients I worked with like a year ago. And, like, I get to choose, just like I get to choose who I want to be connected with, because when I connect with someone, it means I'm co-signing about what you're about. I'm co-signing on you and what you choose to put out in the world, and what you put out in the world, like, I support it. So if you are talking about exiling LGBTQ people, on a cruise ship off the coast of Cyprus and calling it like a fun time. Like, I don't want to be about that. You know, like if you're anti anyone who isn't white, I'm not about that. And those are just two very like basic but like huge things. And like it is very important. Like, I love that you are also about cultivating you know, important and substantial and supportive connections, because that's what it's all about, like building community, moving within the world, creating the world that you want to have with others, because that's when you can actually change things. You know, at least I'd like to hope that that's how the fucking insurrectionists did it, you know, just in reverse, like not against, not for well, for white mankind, you know. They did it for white mankind, and like they were very successful at it. So it's like really, if you get enough people together, like for the cause, like the change you want to make, for me it's just like, you know, dismantling all the bullshit in the world. Like then let's dismantle bullshit together, you know.
Totally, I can relate to that. Definitely got to dismantle that BS that's out there. There's no doubt about that, because there's a lot of that BS that's out there, and too many people are trying to do crazy things. Because you were saying that thing about an exile trip with the LGBTQIA community. I'm going like, well, one, who's going to go on that trip? Because I'd be scared to death going on that trip, because I'd be sitting there going like, well, why are they taking this crew of folks that are friends, and I will imagine they were also inviting people like myself that would be considered allies on the trip as well. And I'm going like, why are we going off to Cyprus and to some island that we don't know what's out there? There could be all kinds of crazy things that they're planning to do out there in that journey that I'm not really feeling as you were describing. I'm going like, that just sounds like a scary notion in and of itself, and it could have been benign, but it sure doesn't sound benign.
It's like I just, yeah, like where are your intentions on that?
Yeah.
And people love to take buzzwords, you know, people love to fetishize you know, movements and make them sexy, and it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work, because sometimes you wonder what else is going out there. I know that and I've brought it up on the show, I've got friends that are in different communities, including some of the swinging communities and other communities. But I know one of the ones in North Carolina was off of a beaten city, and it was a major city here in North Carolina, but it was like off in the woods somewhere. I'm going like, that sounds like that could be a scary journey, because you don't know what you're getting into if you happen to go on that adventure, because you're in the middle of nowhere, literally. So that just sounded like a win situation.
Horror movie.
What'd you say, Kara?
Makings of a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds like the total makings of a horror movie.
Yeah. Although I do want to say, if you are like also LGBTQ like me, and you want to take me on a cruise, like a nice one, and we just frolic and look cute together, please let me know. Anyone out there watching, let's chat first, though. I'll meet you on the ship.
I mean, meet on the ship and see how the ship is going. Make sure that it's safe.
Yeah, not on Cyprus, though.
But what if, Kara? What if they had this?
What is that?
A voice-activated smart bath.
Ah. Voice-activated smart bath.
What do you say? Like go gadget bubbles?
Evidently, you can talk. You can use Alexa to talk to it. Yeah, this is the bath. It's got lights, fills itself. It has an aromatherapy stuff. It looks like. Yep. You step. It's one of those infinity style, so it comes off the side. Yep.
Well, I got a question for you.
Alexa, Play Keith Sweat.
Well, just along those same lines, because I'm looking around this lovely apartment, and have even had friends look around the lovely
Hold
apartment
on, Mark.
as well. And
Mark,
yes,
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking.
what am I
You don't
thinking?
want to get in the bath. You're looking for the extra part of the bath. You need a throne.
No, that's not what I'm looking for. I want to know what. Nice try, you told me, but I want to know because we all know that I can have my more than lazy moments and everything. Does when you want to order this shower and order this bath and order everything else, will it self clean? Because cleaning is a wonderful thing, and I can sometimes be very lazy. So I want to know, will it self clean?
I
Like
mean,
a self-cleaning litter box? Yeah. I
but
would like that.
but you sure you didn't want this $11,000 toilet with Alexa inside?
What does Alexa go do inside the toilet?
Like, what's she doing in there?
What's Alexa doing in the toilet? I mean, what you gonna do? Order Alexa to go ahead and flush for you?
Where is it? They did a little demo of it, which made me laugh.
Alexa, silence my poops.
Look at there.
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed in it. About $16,000, but it will fill itself, play music, and it looks like the ultimate luxurious experience for your bathtub, and it works with Alexa. Wish you could smell how good it smells here. This is the Numi 2.0 smart toilet, which is finally available to buy. It comes in black. There's also a white version, and it's $8,500, but it comes with Bluetooth speakers embedded. It has a microphone to pick up Alexa voice commands. It changes your lighting scheme. It also does all the cleaning and drying that you would expect from a high-end smart toilet. And its lid is automatic. I'm not sure if they'll let us, let's see if they'll let us close it. Okay. So when it doesn't even look like a toilet. When you get it
It's like a trash can.
Yeah. Technically, I guess a toilet really is a trash can.
It's a can. Going to the can.
Going to the can. Jacoby, I always see a problem with this, which is that if it is that luxurious and look more luxurious than some residencies and other things that are out there, is there not the danger of some people wanting to be so attached to it that they never come out of that particular space? Because you've got all the amenities, you got the music, you've got, for all I know, it could be a pop-out bed in the bathroom as well. So is there the danger that you may never come out of the bathroom?
Think about it. You got music, you got lights, you got a comfort seat. You can fall asleep sitting down, and there is DoorDash.
What?
So you can
Okay. So with the toilet though, let's get real. Is it also a bidet?
I think it might just be a toilet, but they probably
Okay. Because it so my middle schooler minds was like, oh my gosh, does it double as a duvet? And then how do you activate it? Like, Alexa, fire in the hole? Like, what do you do?
Alexa, geyser. I mean, this Magical Companion by Disney, you could probably do that.
So if Alexa's going to take, I'm trying to figure out all this stuff that Alexa's going to do. So I'm imagining that if Alexa is taking care of that very important bodily function, does this mean that eventually Alexa will also be cutting your hair, brushing your teeth, and putting on your deodorant of some of the other basic necessities that we all need in the morning preparation? So is it going to do all of this for us?
Probably, because remember WALL-E, the movie? That's our future.
Yeah, like Love, Death, Robots, when the robots attack the old people home.
Yep.
Hey, Disney, tell me a rocket joke.
I am Groot. What kind of music do planets listen to? I don't know, maybe something epic like da-da, ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba, da-da-da-ba-ba. That? I am Groot.
So, Jacoby, I'm already seeing another problem here with this thing that you just showed with the.
Oh, I get it. I like that one.
So yeah, you can get, you got Google, you got Alexa with Amazon, you got Siri with Apple, now you got Disney.
Yeah, but you told me I already see a problem with this, and I was just getting ready to bring it up because one of the things that we've talked about on this show, and we just talked about it in general on other shows as well, is that there are different levels of comedy. So I could definitely see a robot that would be able to tell good, knock knock jokes and good other kind of more established jokes and everything. But I don't know that we've gotten to the level of nuance needed for a robot or an Alexa to do good improv, because that is where I think the level would be stopped and everything. Because I don't know that we can actually have the Alexa do good improv. It can do the knock knock jokes and standard comedy and even some of those jokes that we just heard and all of that. But can it pull off improv?
So that's basically somebody or a robot becoming sentient.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Google has already pulled somebody off of or closed a project because they felt the project was becoming sentient. So to answer your question, it's on the way.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's terrifying.
That is very terrifying, because that means that we could have a gamer's den where me and Kara are sitting here thinking that we're talking to Toby, but we're really talking to Toby's robot who's doing a whole improv routine on us, and we would not know it because it would be a very lifelike variation of Toby. As a matter of fact, are we sure that we're actually talking to Toby right now, or is this his robot that he just bought?
It was, I think it was NVIDIA last year. They did a digitized version of their speaker at E3, and people didn't notice because it was all on video and stuff.
So are we sure that that wasn't the deal that they made with McCarthy, that he's really not the Speaker of the House? It's really a robot that's in control right now? Because I'd heard that speculation about Biden. So maybe McCarthy is just nothing but a robot, and that was part of the deal to make him Speaker of the House.
I mean, he's a puppet now, at least.
Good point.
Puppet.
He gave up everything. Like I said, gave up everything for just the name.
Just because he wanted to be Speaker of the House. Apparently this has been his lifelong goal. I've heard some people speculate it's been his lifelong goal since being a career politician, or maybe even as a child. Maybe when he was like 7 years old, he said, hey, when I grow up, I want to be Speaker of the House at any cost. That's what he said as a 7-year-old McCarthy. Maybe that's what he said. We need to find his second grade teacher and find out if that's what he was not announcing at the beginning of class in that particular day and wherever he was going to school in the second grade. Because I can see him going up there, little 7-year-old Mr. McCarthy, going like, well, what do you want to be, Sam? Well, I want to be a fireman. Well, what do you want to be, Mary? Well, I want to be the first female president of the United States. And what do you want to be, Kevin? Well, I want to be the Speaker of the House, and I don't care what I have to do to get there. I will do anything. I will go ahead and sell anything that y'all ask me to. I will sail down the pipe. Just make me the Speaker of the House, and that's what I want to do, Mrs. McCarthy. That's what I'm telling you. I know you're named after my mom, and you're probably even my mom and my teacher, but that's what I want to do, the Speaker of the House.
Mark Lee, you're on it tonight. I love you.
So speaking of the AI stuff, so there's AI art, which is it's not going away. It's just going to keep, we have to adapt to it. And there, of course, you have the chat bots and everything else doing the AI stuff. But High on Life, which just came out, which is a video game by the creators of Rick and Morty, they used AI art in their video game. They said it helped create new worlds and just random stuff, and that's why they used it. Well, there's also AI potential. Well, we already know about the artwork. Well, there's also AI potential, or using AI to make full feature-length films now too.
Oh,
Oh, speaking of which, speaking of full feature-length films, because I had the pleasure of watching, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was last week. But has anybody seen the Avatar, the new Avatar with the whales? Because that was a truly amazing movie. It had some great AI and some great images there. I did have the pleasure of watching that recently, so I've now seen both Avatars. But I was actually impressed with that whole storyline, including the storyline around the whales and this one whale that was kind of being isolated and all in that space. And was
Why are you
actually
going to tell the storyline, Mark? You're not supposed to tell the story. Not everybody's seen it.
I'm intrigued for the whales. Whales? There's whales in Avatar?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
like,
so-
ooh.
Yep.
I mean, I'm still not going to see it.
Why not?
Again, it's
well, because James Cameron decided to speak on behalf of indigenous people in an interview, and I'm not really I know we say and do stupid things sometimes, but you'd think after researching so much on a film that's just been your baby that, I don't know, maybe you'd get some sense and stay in your lane. But that's just me.
He just made $1 billion.
But
He doesn't care. Talking about selling souls.
But what did he say about the indigenous people? As I said before on this show, I've definitely got relatives that are very active in that culture, including some that are on the powwow circuit on a regular basis, and another one that sells indigenous fashion out of Canada. So just out
You
of
wanna
curiosity,
find it?
one that has family members in that lane, that space, and everything. What exactly did he say?
You heard it. You saw it, right?
I'm trying
Right,
to remember.
Chitobi?
Yeah, he said it was I'm trying to remember exactly the words.
Yeah, because it's important to focus on the wording.
I cannot spell indigenous right now. It's late. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, tired tropes. And that was one of the big things, the whole white savior mentality still that people are upset about.
Well, and I don't quote me. I believe it's the Lakota tribes. He spoke about the Lakota tribes, I believe. It was a specific tribe and how he felt like why did they give on and not fight? And it's like like when the Lakotas were forced out of their homes and murdered and assimilated.
They fought twice. That's what I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about, because they fought.
Well, and that's why, like, don't quote me on the specific tribe, but I do think he said Lakota.
No, the only reason I'm asking is that, well, if it was the Lakota, I'm not quoting you on that, but if it was the Lakota, that's the group that was behind Wounded Knee, the original Wounded Knee, and they definitely stood up for their fight in that land. They definitely did Wounded Knee in South Dakota more recently, like in the last 5 or 6 years, and they were also part of the tribes, if I'm remembering correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Chitobi, but I think they were part of the tribes that were fighting against the efforts to desecrate their land where Mount Rushmore is, as well, and the presidents are located. I think that was the Lakota also, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong. But I do know that those were native tribes that were having that fight in last year or maybe 2 years ago at the latest. But all of that seems to me that was Lakota, and I can actually get in touch with my friend Lakota John, who is a bluesman, who is part of that Lakota tribe, and see if I am correct in that space and everything. But it does seem to me that that's what I recall. That's what I'm trying to remember exactly what he means. They didn't stand up and fight because they fought a number of times.
So in 2010, no, I felt like I was 130 years back in a time watching what the Lakota Tsui might have been saying at a point when they were being pushed and they were being killed, and they were being asked to displace, and they were being given some form of compensation. He further added, "This was a driving force for me to write, or in writing this writing of Avatar, I couldn't help but think of that. And if they, the Lakota Soy, had a time window that they could see the future and they could see their kids committing suicide at the highest suicide rate in the nation because they were hopeless and they were a dead end society, which is what is happening now, they would have fought a lot harder."
Yeah.
I mean, it's very similar to Kanye West yelling out slavery was a choice.
Right. That was not a choice. And I mean, I hear part of what he's saying. So he's talking about the current economic statuses and whether they would have.
That doesn't matter.
No,
that's just a
smoke and mirrors.
Back in it's smoke and mirror justification, trying to say, well, hey, I'm trying to speak what's right. No, you're speaking what's wrong. You're saying what that they didn't fight as hard as they could. You're saying that they could have tried, they could have done better. It's the same thing that, like I said, that Kanye West said when he said slavery was a choice. It wasn't a choice. These individuals, they fought and they died because of it. It wasn't because of they didn't try their hardest. And that trying to justify it as, oh, well, had they seen this in the future? No, that's where the offensive part comes into play. I mean, you're saying that it was their choice to just die because they didn't want to fight that hard. That's what he's basically saying.
Beyond insulting.
Yeah.
Like, really? It's like if you were to tell someone who had something horrific like happen, like victims of violence, of any kind of violence. Well, if you would have seen your life now, maybe you would have said something. Maybe you would have actually fought harder, or maybe, like, excuse you.
Like telling a sexual assault victim, well, you brought it on yourself for wearing that. That's the same logic. That's the same strain of logic.
You're gonna tell that to people who had violence forced upon them when they were like 3, or younger, or even, any time, like, really? Yeah. It just, yeah, that's the main thing. It's because it does go back to like white saviorism and like showing his privilege as a male as well. Yeah, that's why I won't see it. There, it's like certain things, I've been told, well, if you stood against like everything that you didn't disagree on, like you wouldn't be able to do anything. Like, no, I still get my groceries. I still support small businesses. My small businesses get my money, organizations. Like, I'm doing fine, just fine, thank you. I still have plenty of great music to listen to. Like, yeah.
And I mean, that's an argument that we've seen also with a couple other movies that I've seen recently, like the Woman King, as well as both of the Black Panthers movies. So there's been some of that conversation as to whether there were white saviors within those movies or whether they were portraying women in a unrealistic viewpoint. And I don't think it's unrealistic at all, because we know that there were some women warrior troops out of Africa and all in that space. But, there are some folks that might think that that is a false narrative, even though it's not a false narrative in the least bit. But even in that storyline, there was some decisions made around some possible white saviors. And I think one of those people was even at the end was sacrificed and all in that space. But that's just some of the thoughts that I have, and don't have like the full imagery of the movie.
Oh yeah, the guy in the first movie,
Right.
he gave his life. He was the only white. Well, there were two white guys like that were characters in the movie, but like the main guy who was and with T'Challa, like he gave his life for the cause, like for the cause for Wakanda. Like he
Which
gave
one?
his life for Wakanda. Huh?
In the first one?
Or like, well, he risked his life for Wakanda. Like,
Trying to think of which.
yeah, the FBI guy.
Oh. Yeah.
Not for himself, but for Wakanda.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the character's name, but I know who you're talking about.
Because yeah, he didn't die.
Yeah, he almost died
well,
a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean he joined the cause to fight.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah, my apologies. I misspoke. Because like, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm like, wait, no, he was in the plane or in the little like plane thing. He almost died. He didn't like die. He almost. Then he got out, and then we didn't really see him the rest of the movie that I remember.
Yeah, he what happened to him? So is it Grant?
I don't remember.
I can't remember his name right now. But yes, so he's a major player in the whole MCU anyway. So yeah, he wasn't gonna die.
No.
And then the other movie that I seen about Woman King, there was the brother that decided to go back to England while his lady love decided to stay there in the African nation. And that's the one I was thinking about that also had to make that choice as to whether he was going to sacrifice his fellow English person when the slaves decided to lead to that part of the revolts that they led.
That's complex on so many levels too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of complexities that are out there in some of these newer movies. But I think there's even an environmental element, and I will definitely have to do more research on what the nature, and I hear what y'all are saying around James Cameron, but I also think that there are some environmental elements in what was being described as well, and that's part of what the conversation around the whale is, because I think that there are some environmental elements that aren't oftentimes talked about in either of the avatars, whether it's the original one or this now second one.
Chitovi, real quick, I want to ask you if you have seen. Hold on, what's it called? Hold on. I've been watching it. I love it. It's on my Disney Plus, but it's on my tablet.
Cool.
It is called. Oh my gosh. Come on. Okay, that's fine. Touch to cast videos to your TV. I don't want to. Okay. What's it called?
What are you playing, by the way?
Oh, Strange World. Strange World. Have you seen Strange World? It's a Disney movie.
I want to watch Strange World.
Oh my gosh, I watched it last night.
How was it? Evidently, it flopped at the movie theater, which I can understand why it did. One, because of competition, plus it wasn't advertised well. Then coming off a COVID year, and then on top of that, it's an animated film. So
yeah, it wasn't advertised well. But it had so many different complexities, such as like, should we go and fight everyone? Are there enemies, or can we just all flow and move in the world together? Interracial relationships, like the teenager, his parents and his grandpa not flinching about him being gay, like not flinching.
Remember, I
Like it
haven't
was
watched
just,
it yet, so
yeah,
I
I
don't know
know.
anything going on.
Yeah,
Autoimmune disease, even,
Oh, okay.
but like not in the way that you think. That
Yeah.
was like a whole left field kind of thing. Anyways, I was just saying that to get you interested because
Oh, I'm very interested in seeing it. I thought about watching it. As a matter of fact, I thought about
yeah,
watching it the other day, but I didn't have
yeah.
a chance. I didn't have enough time to sit down and watch it. But yeah, that's one of the ones.
Dismantling toxic tropes and ideologies. So many amazing layers.
We definitely got to do more of that. And that sounds like a movie I need to catch as well. I was actually talking to somebody that's doing a movie that sounds similar, but she was on Clubhouse, and I think hers was like Letter to Future Humans or something like that. So I'm trying to get her to come on one of these shows so that we can find out more. But she gave a detailed description because it sounds like it's a trilogy that she is putting together and trying to get out there. But it definitely has some of those similar kind of things to what this film that you're talking about, Kara, has in all
Yeah.
that space. So I'm definitely curious to see how they play off of each other or maybe play into each other if her movie comes out in another 3-4 years or whatever. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
It's almost like a sociological Bill Nye the Science Guy. Like it is really cool. I like it.
Okay.
Sounds like it. Hey, to tell me a couple of things. One is a matter of a technicality and everything, but if we're going to rerun the show and go into the 2-hour thing, then we've got about 9 minutes and all in that space. Or we can go over and now just either you or I can edit it. But I did realize that we were almost at the 2-hour mark, and there's that lovely 2-hour editing mark as well. So
oh yeah,
we have 6 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna give you a heads up on that kind
6
of
minutes.
notice and everything. So
6 minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on, on.
Yeah.
And my song.
6 minutes to the end. Well, actually, I think we got 8 minutes in this particular case. You just brought up something that I think everybody is of the opinion that we're done, and this probably could be a whole hour conversation in and of itself, but I am not 100% convinced that COVID is done, and I'm even seeing signs of whole events that are still trying to figure out what they're doing, because I know here in Durham, Full Frame has announced that they are not having a 2023 season, but that they'll be back in 2024, and I think part of that is them trying to figure out what the model will look like if they're going to be in person. And the last couple of years, I think they were doing that whole either hybrid or totally remote model. So I do know that they announced that they were taking off this year totally, and they'll see what they're going to do in 2024. And the same thing happened with the Festival of Haytime, because we took last year off and we're supposed to be back this year. So it'll be interesting to see, because I'm thinking that folks are still trying to figure out the direction of the country and the world.
Yeah, COVID is not going anywhere.
There's a new variant.
Right.
Yeah, it's endemic. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere at all.
So I guess the thing we got to do is figure out how we're going to live with it. Because I know even in going out and about, like catching the bus the last several days, I'd say probably the vast majority of the folks are either vaccinated or are not wearing the mask. But then I also see people, even when we've had dance classes at Haytime, where certain group of folks are like, I've got to have my mask in. That's why we have masks there on supply should they need them and everything. But yeah, there's a lot of folks that are walking around without the mask. You can only assume that they are vaccinated, but we don't have any proof of that, since there's no thing that they have to show to their fellow man that actually proves it. They can just tell you that they are.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, people won't even take the flu vaccine. I mean, that's what we need, is just people be more cognizant and take these vaccines that are there for a reason. But you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I ordered more masks for the metro.
So the metro up there in DC. Well, we have some other allies and friends that are in that neck of the woods as well. So I might have to tell them to get in touch with you, because they were looking at possibly making moves to this way, but I don't know that that's going to be happening. So I might have folks making a contact to you up in that DC, Northern Virginia.
I'm always up for knowing more people in DC.
We will keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I didn't realize how many people on LinkedIn are in the DC area either. And what's so funny is that I was today years old when I fully understood what DMV meant. Because like people kept saying it around here, and I'm like, man, people must really like the Department of Motor Vehicles. But like it's just I don't know. I was just confused. And then I found out that like I realized today it was DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Yep, DC,
So
Maryland, Virginia.
totally confused Midwestern moment there.
But you can have your Midwestern moments. You got a couple of Midwestern teams in the playoffs, including my beloved Minnesota Vikings, and at least one of those teams from Cleveland, well, the Ohio area, because I did see. I think the Bengals are in the playoffs and everything. So
yeah, the Bengals, because they were playing the Bills when that. Yeah.
Yep. They
The
did
Bengals
make the
definitely have a
playoffs.
chance to win this year.
Yep.
What?
The Bengals definitely have a chance to win it all this year.
Yes, hopefully they remember last year and don't do it again, and then win it all. Because like Joe Burrows was so upset.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like I was a server that day too. Like I was at a barbecue joint serving. It had been the most packed I've ever seen it, and it like you could fit a lot of people in it too. And like the second we knew like we lost, like it was completely quiet except for the TVs going, and like all the air was let out of the room. It was insane.
Hopefully there's no air let out of the room in one of your neck of the woods, Jacoby, because I think I just booked it. I need to finalize it, but I'm in the process of booking one of the sports bars near the Bulls Stadium because February 4th is National Marquette Day. So believe it or not, even though there's not that many of us here in the state of North Carolina, there are some Marquette alumni here, and I was tasked with the task of putting together that whole notion of a watch party for that game on February 4th when we play Butler. So that'll be taking place. Definitely, hopefully we'll go ahead and take that victory, and I should see at least 25, maybe 30 fellow Marquette alumni at that space.
Get there.
Well, it's been fun, guys.
It has been.
Always is fun.
Yeah. I think it's time for Jacoby to hit that magic button because we know he's going to be playing games even after we're done and everything. But we get ready to get out of here. Kara, it was great seeing you again, and I'm glad that you are doing at least somewhat well and keeping busy and all in that space. And definitely got to find a way to catch up with you, not just on this lovely show, but in person and other places as well. But definitely always glad to see your smiling face, and I'm definitely a supporter of yours, like you're a supporter of mine.
Yeah, thank you. My goodness. Yes, we will need to catch up. It's just been like running with our faces on fire the last few months. So, yeah.
I understand.
Well, it's so good to be with you guys tonight, too. Thank you, everyone watching. Y'all are the best.
All right, I better hit that button or else we're going to go past the minutes.
Bye.
Exactly. See you.